If you're a scapegoat, black sheep, or empath, you probably find dealing with narcissists and patriarchs exhausting. This video is about how to keep your power, how to find your power, keep your power, and stop having it sucked by those people with an energy that is reliant on sucking your life force. My name is Mark. This is the Emotional Alchemist. I help scapegoats, black sheep, and empaths heal the emotional stuff, find the life we really want of joy, fun, love, and the rest of it. At our core, we all have our own personal power, and we get to keep that power as long as we don't give it away. For empaths, that's really hard to do, because when we're interacting with certain people, like narcissists and patriarchs, and by patriarch I mean anyone that uses a energy of anger, shaming, aggression in order to subjugate somebody else. It can be male or female, but it's that person that wants to suck your energy, and they do that from empaths. We have this energy which we want to love the whole world. We are more sensitive than other people, and that means, and also we carry wounds from early on, most likely in our childhood, and narcissists and patriarchs have a way of honing in on that wound, of using their energy to cut straight to it in a way that we feel penetrated by them, and basically because they're opening up the original wound and sucking out our life force energy. Now, they wouldn't do that if we didn't actually have power ourselves, and it's in understanding our own power, how we can keep it, and part of that, so for me, it's about understanding that I do have my own power, but I have my own wounds, and first of all needing to admit those wounds and say, you know what, there's some crazy shit that went on back there, which, and this is the second part of it, affects me in everyday life. I need to acknowledge that what happened back then still has an energetic effect on me, so that as I'm interacting in the world these days, it can still, if I'm interacting with those types of people who want to dominate, who need to suck the energy of others rather than to create. I was told that there's two ways to have significance. One is to destroy, one is to create. Narcissists and patriarchs look to destroy. Empaths are more on the creation side. If I can acknowledge that the stuff back then, when I'm interacting in the world today, it affects me, then I also know that I need to heal that stuff and go back and look at those experiences that happened. And number three is to have compassion for myself and for my 6-year-old self and for what happened back then. If I imagine, and someone said this to me the other day, it's like, okay, so I went through a whole bunch of experiences. I thought they were normal, and I've come to realize they weren't normal at all. They were pretty fucked up, because when I discussed them with people, they're like, dude, that's not normal at all. But it still feels energetically normal inside. So if I can, someone suggested the other day, imagine somebody else who is their younger self in the position, and what happened to you is happening to them. And I was like, wow, energetically that changes it completely, because for many of us, we have this self-punishing attitude, this kind of, that combined with a self-sabotaging attitude means that we treat ourselves regularly hitting ourselves with a big stick. There's a lack of compassion, this kind of driving force. It's like, because ultimately what we were told is we weren't allowed to be like that, like we were, like that pure essence of ourselves, and we should be, should is the shaming word, we should be more like him, we should be more like this, we should do this or that, but anything rather than be ourselves. And the recovery now, the scapegoat escape plan, is to understand and get back to the way we were, how to turn up in the world as our own individual selves, to be different, because also to be different, especially back then, meant to be a target, and if it's a target you're going to want to hide. And so many of us have found and that through our lives we have hidden from life because it's easier to hide than it is to stand out. When I can acknowledge there's a wound, admit there's a wound, acknowledge that it needs to be healed, have compassion for myself, for what happened back then, and actually what I'm doing in everyday life now, that my life doesn't need to just be a whole series of actions to try to be perfect, because that perfection is a form of patriarchy. It's a, you do this, otherwise you're in trouble. Breathe. Nurture. Learn to nurture. Learn to have compassion for myself and other people. That is what that is the Scapegoat recovery plan. Because then if we have and we keep our energy and we keep our power, we turn up in the world, and it doesn't matter how many patriarchs and narcissists we're interacting with, because we can stay whole, we can have integrity within ourselves. They can stick with them, we'll stick with us, because the more we find ourselves, the more tribe members we find, the more connection we build, and that is the way that we all build together, this connection, because together we are stronger and we find a joy in life which is uncommon and counteracts that loneliness that so many of us have felt. That is what the Emotional Alchemist is about. For me, it's about taking what was life's shit and turning it into gold and joy that we want these days. The connection with me, with you, and with the rest of us. I do that. So there's a Facebook group as well called the Scapegoat Club. It's a tribe, a digital tribe of us who are looking for, who are different but the same, and looking for all that joy and connection in life. If you want to see another video on scapegoating and finding your tribe, it's this one here. Thanks for watching.